thank you for clicking on this video. I wanted to make this video as kind of like an introduction to my 1989 240SX S13 Coupe. As you can tell by the rear, if you're not too familiar with S13s, you can get them in a hatch or a coupe. They're pretty old cars. They're made from 89 to 94, I want to say, for the S13. And so this one's an 89, so it is 32 years old. Again, I'm making this video kind of like an introduction, so I'll kind of go over the car before I really start fucking with it. The first thing I want to go over before we touch price or mileage or anything else about the car, I wanted to go over the body, because the majority of these are found with a lot of rust. And this one isn't, I wouldn't call it like a bring a trailer 240 or any of that. It's not pristine, but it's pretty solid for a 240. I would say it's cleaner than 98% of them out there, 97. You know, it's pretty clean compared to the majority of them. So let's get to the body first before we get into anything else. So right away you can tell, you might be looking at it like, hey, this car actually looks pretty clean. Walk around. Don't mind the power tool. So again, you might be looking at it like, man, that's actually pretty clean. And I'm actually gonna try to zoom in a little closer, get a little bit closer, because it's really not that clean paint-wise. Even though it's one color, the car, can you tell? Tons of overspray. I don't even know if they sprayed it, because this paint, it kind of looks like, let me see, I'll see that? Oh, there you go, kind of capturing it. This paint isn't even like car paint. It looks like some kind of house paint. I'm not kidding. It does not look like like car paint. It looks like something different, because it's kind of blotchy and kind of runny. Can you see that? It's kind of runny in certain areas. I need to cut my nails. But yeah, it's not, body-wise, it's there kind of, but it's not the cleanest paint job. It's obviously been rattle canned with some maybe it was car paint, but maybe just shitty one. Maybe just shitty car paint, who knows? But what I wanted in a 240 was a car that was structurally sound, and not completely rusted out. So let's move on to the engine bay, which was kind of nice to see. Not a lot of rust over here, right? You usually see a bunch of rust here, cutouts, all kinds of crazy shit. This one's pretty much all the way there. No major rust over here. Same thing on this side, nothing crazy. I am missing a bunch of my AC components, which I think should be there, and that's why this car doesn't have AC, which I'm gonna have to fix, because it's Florida, it's like 95 here all day long, so without AC you can't function. You definitely need to get that put back on at some point. Now let's go below the car. Let's do this side first. Again, another main thing was that I wanted a 240 that was structurally sound, and this was kind of that. Nothing crazy. Again, I can get even deeper in there, but nothing crazy, right? Those two probably shouldn't be there, right? But for the most part, pretty clean. Again, I think this car looks a lot cleaner from far away, but you can say that about any car, I think. Let's look at this side. Again, nothing too wild, which is what I wanted, right? Because I knew I was gonna go balls out with the car, and I didn't want to have a rusty ass car when I'm putting, you know, money into it. I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. I didn't want to, you know, start off with a shitty canvas, right? So I wanted something clean to begin with, and then I could mess with it. Car needs a new windshield for sure. At some point, I need to get that done too. But let's move on to the interior now that we covered that exterior. And I'm not sure what happened here, but there's a bunch of like little dents on the roof. I'm not sure if that's from, it's a white dude that owned it before, maybe like punching shit. Maybe his name was Kyle, who knows? But yeah, just I mean, it's not super clean. You can tell that, you know, it wasn't painted the best, as you can tell. Nothing crazy in terms of rust. Now that we're inside, I can show you all this. You can see that this is the original paint. This is whatever they used, so it's not even really matching, but hey, it's an old car. So a little bit of rust there, nothing crazy, mainly surface stuff, right? And let's go on this side. Show you both, well, inside, I don't know what you call that area, but inside the door handle, I don't know what you call it, but Yeah, nothing crazy, mainly surface stuff. And let me go show you the trunk, because the trunk is usually the part that has the most rust. You want to say that? Let me move this power tool out of here, because otherwise we won't be able to lift anything. Okay, so now, usually when you see a 240, especially for whatever reason, coupes maybe a little bit more, when you open this up, you find that it's missing the entire floorboard. It's completely cut out. This one, not the case. Basically all there. I'm not sure if that's how this is supposed to be, but it looks like it's pretty much all there and no major rust, which again, pretty cool, because I'm gonna be putting a few things back here, but that's for another video. Again, no major rust, nothing's breaking, and I mean surface stuff for sure, you know, a little surface rust here and there. I would clean this up, but it's all like dirt and whatnot. I'm pointing at it with my fucking finger in front of the camera, but all this is mainly dirt. I can clean that up at some point. And a little bit of surface rust over here too. Nothing crazy. I would say the whole car, I think there's more rust on the actual trunk than anywhere else. So this trunk is actually pretty rusty, and I'm definitely gonna get a new one before I do anything to the car, anything major, I guess. Yeah, because I think there's more rust in this trunk than anywhere else. And I don't know what happened here, but this wing is like fucked up below the actual wing, like over here, just dented and shit. Let's move on to the interior. That's always cool to see. This is when you realize these cars are old as fuck, because you get in and as soon as you open the door, you see that you got manual windows. When was the last time you saw that? If you're born after like 2003, you've probably never seen that. So that's how you know this car's old as fuck. Pop-up headlights, that's how you know it's old as fuck too. And yeah, we got a little shifter. Of course, this thing's manual, right? You have to get a 240 in a manual. Now, the interior is pretty nasty, but we're gonna work on that. I need to get a new headliner because this is, 30 years old. I only look illegal. And yeah, all these things are inside the car are just, so old. I need to get new headliner, basically new cloth for everything that's has cloth on it. Door panel, this too, all that's gonna get replaced. But I want to show you because it's not bad. The reason this car has funky white wheels on, because these wheels were the OEM ones, have like super old tires on them. So I put these wheels on for now, even though we're gonna fix that wheel gap shortly. They look funky as hell because they're huge, but they had new tires on, and I had to get this car with some wheels on with some new tires on, because I've had it at the shop for 4 months, and they were trying to find an issue with my engine. So it was smoking a lot when I got the car, and let's go back to the engine actually. So it was smoking a lot when I got it, and the gist of it was that we were gonna do the valve seals because it needed new valve seals. That was their conclusion, but because of the engine, again, it's an old car, it's an 89, we ended up just refreshing the entire head. So the whole head is refreshed, all new components, and the bottom end, when we did a compression test on the car, it actually came back with pretty good compression, 155 all around, I want to say. That's pretty fucking good for an old ass engine. And again, fresh head, so engine wise we should be good. And the car still runs like a pig, which I'm kind of a bummer, because I was hoping to get the car back from the shop with with everything fixed, but we were thinking it was that. And when I picked the car up, they hadn't really drove it enough after they fixed it, after they did the engine work. So I was under the impression that it was gonna be 100% after I got it, but it's not. It's still stopping at around 3,000 RPMs when I'm in third, fourth, fifth year. So it's really not going past 3K RPMs in third, fourth, fifth year. Kind of a bummer, but there's a few things I'm looking at right now that hopefully one of those is it. And but I can't have the car at a shop like any longer, because it's just been long. It's been gone for so long, and I was just ready to have this one here and start modding it. Because you can look at every single issue this car has, and it'll take you like a year to sort out all of them. So I'm just too impatient for that. I'd rather start modding the car, and little by little just sort out all the little quirks and little issues here and there. Now let's get to what's wrong with the car right now, right? So we can go over every issue before we get into price. So I already mentioned one thing, which is the engine, right? It's still bogging out after 3,000 RPMs in the higher gears. So that's one thing. Another thing that doesn't work is my gas gauge doesn't read. So it does not read gas, and it does read temp, but not gas. The speedometer, I think the speed sensor is off too, because it doesn't read the speed correctly. So I could be going 45 and it's gonna tell me I'm going like 70. So gas gauge and speedometer, I have to get those two correct. The car doesn't have AC. Like I said earlier, I'm missing all my AC components. I do have my AC line in the trunk. That was nice. I don't know why the guy left it there, because he took out my AC compressor and I think the condenser too, and just a bunch of shit. So I'm not sure why he just left the line in my trunk, but I do have an AC line in the trunk. So those two things, and those few things are wrong with the car right now. But other than that, the car is pretty reliable. I'm gonna start it up here in a second. You're gonna see that it starts up right away, no hesitation whatsoever. The transmission's pretty smooth. That's cool. I appreciate a car that runs good and shifts good, right? That's always nice when you get a manual. I hate having to deal with like manual transmission issues when the car doesn't want to go into a certain gear, or it pops out. That's the worst, when you got to take a transmission out, and to me that's just a huge job, right? So yeah, those are the main things that are wrong with the car. Blowing speaker over here on this side too. That speaker is good, but this speaker fucked up, so I have to get those replaced at some point. But other than that, the car runs okay-ish, right? It turns on. Let me turn it on real quick. Yeah, I got the key, and it's gonna be kind of like a spoiler, because I was supposed to make a video on the exhaust, because they just got a new exhaust. I'm kind of gonna spoil it right now, but hey, it is what it is. I just want to show you how this car actually, I got this little fan. It does absolutely nothing. It connects to the port right over here. It does nothing because I'm in Florida. Maybe you're like up north, maybe this will help, but when you're in Florida and it's like 95 inside the car, like that's not gonna do anything, but it's kind of cute to look at. See how quick it started up right away. And it's, again, it just got a new ISR exhaust, so it's super loud. Let me hop outside. Because otherwise my neighbors are gonna get pissy. Put it in here just to be safe. Yeah, hey, I got Bluetooth in here too. That's pretty cool, right? A little Bluetooth, always nice. I gotta get that speaker fixed. But now let's move on to what I actually paid for the car, the money aspect of everything, which is kind of cool and interesting to talk about. I think is this popping out too? It is what it is. So what I paid for the car in today's market is going to seem like a decent deal, because again, the car is overall pretty clean. It does have, you already saw it in the title of the video, but it does have 227,000 miles. So don't think, when you see this car outside from far away, it looks like a pretty decent 240, and it is a decent 240, decent-ish, but it still has a few things I gotta sort out, as I mentioned. And 227,000 miles is not low mileage. That's very high miles, even for a 1989 240, especially when you're talking about original engine and transmission. Again, the engine's pretty much refreshed by now, and the transmission shifts good, but I mean, the car still has 227,000 miles. I will say, kind of cool that it's on the original engine and the transmission. It's never been swapped ever, which is so rare, because all these 240s are swapped. I'm not talking they've been swapped once, they've been swapped several times, the majority of them. So to find an OEM 240, pretty cool, even though it does have higher miles. Now, let's talk about what I paid for it, because again, it's gonna seem like a pretty good deal for today's market. I paid $4,500 for the car, and this is back in September of 2020. So it's already been about 7 months. We're in late April of 2021. So $4,500, and I could probably kind of break even if I were to sell it, even considering that I've done a I've refreshed the head and a couple other things. I could probably break even with the car right now, just because the market has gone up ever since I got it. So, well, it was going up already before that, but now it's kind of like at a high point, I would say, or it seems that way. I could probably sell this car for about $6,400. So I would totally break even with everything that I've done to the car so far, which is cool. But again, these cars are not fast by any means. Originally, this car is a single cam engine. It's not fast at all. It's really slow. So, I mean, and it's a little rattly, but it's really cool. It's what I wanted for the longest time. I really wanted an S13 coupe. I didn't want a hatch. I didn't want an S14 because I could have got an S14. I could have got a hatch. I didn't want either one of those. Zenki, Kuki, S14, or even a hatch on the S13 side of things. I didn't want either one of those. I really wanted a coupe because I had an idea in mind that I had a vision in mind, and that vision was with an S13 coupe. It was not with anything else. So I was looking for one for a while before I found this one. And I was trying to be patient with it too. I took, from the moment that I first was like, hey, I need to buy a 240 to the time that I got this car, it must have been about 6 months, maybe more than that actually, because I really kind of, at the beginning of 2020, I would say, that's when I was like really trying to get one of these, and I didn't get one till this one in September. So yeah, like 8-9 months. And because again, these are just, it's hard to find a coupe, and it's hard to find a coupe that's not rusted and hasn't been swapped 17 times. And I was cool with a swap one. I wanted one that ran good. And I'm in Naples, Florida. There isn't much that goes on in Naples, Florida. So the majority of these cars were 2, 3, 4 hours, even, up in Georgia, up in other states. So and the first question that I would ask whenever I looked at a 240 was, hey, can I drive this car back? Can I get it? Can I go and buy it and then drive it back to Naples, right? And the majority of the times when I asked that, they were like, I don't know, And even 240s that I found here in Florida that have been swapped or whatever, when I asked that question, it was never a clear answer whether I was going to be able to make it back or not. It was like, you might, or, I haven't driven the car on the highway in so long. Once somebody says that, I'm like, all right, this car might not be that reliable. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted a car that I could go and get on and turn on and be able to drive long distance. Because if you know me, I like to drive my cars. I want to be able to drive a car to a car show far away or whatever the case may be, right? I want to be able to drive it 6, 7, 8 hours comfortably, right? So that's the one thing that I kept running into with a lot of these swap cars. They hadn't really gotten done with them, it seemed like. They always needed a tune or something. So I wasn't necessarily saying no to a swap 240s, but the majority of the ones I found just were not that clean. And I was not finding OEM ones like this one either, right? I mean, the majority have been heavily modded, and I hadn't really come across a coupe that was clean. And when this one came up for sale, I asked the guy the same question. He was not that far away from me. It was like a 15-minute drive. That's pretty fucking close. 50-minute, an hour drive for me to get a car. In my head, that's pretty fucking close. So when he said that, and he's like, hey, yeah, you can drive it back, whatever, it's gonna make it. That was cool, because I could have been in Miami. I would have asked him the same question, and he probably would have said yes. So, Miami's 2 hours away. That's why I said Miami. But the basic answer was that yes, I could drive this car back to wherever I was, and it would make it, which is kind of a big deal to me when I got it. So yeah, that's the story of this car. I paid $4,500 for it. Original engine, original transmission. It runs decent. Again, I have to figure out why it's kind of stopping me at 3,000 RPMs in the higher gears, but third, fourth, or fifth. But we can figure that out as we go along. Right now, we're gonna dive deeper into the car and start messing with it, and hopefully you guys enjoy my content. Don't worry about this funky ass wheel fitment. We're gonna get that fixed ASAP, and because I cannot stand how high this car is right now. And it's on the OEM everything basically, right? OEM shocks. Again, I only put these wheels on because I had to let the shop drive the car. They have good tires on, and those tires are like 80 years old. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a basic rundown of the car. Single cam, original single cam. Let me do one more walk around for you guys. I'm gonna do a video. I just did a video on on this exhaust install, so I'm gonna try to upload that after this video. But I wanted to do a basic rundown of the car, talk about how much I paid, you know, the mileage, all that shit, all the ins and outs of this car specifically. And again, I would love to have found I don't know, a fucking SR swap or an RB swap that had been properly done and it ran, you know, if it ran good, I would have been all over it. But I just couldn't find that in the 9 months that I was looking for a 240. So this one came up, it was cleanish, it was OEM, and it basically ran good, right? So that's why I got it. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and we're gonna dive deeper into the car and go and do some wild shit with it. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for the content. All right, see you in the next one.